District breakdown time. There's my man Matt Diggs. He's back in Texas, so he's ready to talk Texas high school football, and we're talking 5-6A. So you know what that means. That's Allen, Geyer, that's Prosper. That is a powerhouse district. So let me know what you think about that.
Really is a powerhouse district, but I'm gonna throw McKinney Boyd in there if you're gonna talk about the big names. McKinney Boyd is a team I'm very excited about. I watched them a couple of times last year. They were very young. Defensively, they were strong. Offensively, they had questions, and I think offensively they still have those same questions. But defensively, this is a team that is stacked. Jimmy Fex, I highlighted him on several games. Great player, inside linebacker. Carter Whitefield is a beast. Will play both ways. Peyton Shawn, a really good safety in the secondary. This is a team I believe is loaded to bear and ready to compete, at least with Prosper. Ethan Weslowski and Joey Dixon, some of the younger sophomores that are coming up and coming to be juniors, really impressive. McKinney Boyd is kind of one of my underrated teams. Is a team I'm keeping an eye on. Obviously, when we talk about Prosper, that they're starting to be a powerhouse program. A player I'm really interested in is Aiden Combest, and they got Noah Billings coming back as well. So Prosper is definitely a team on the rise. But when you talk about this district more, you got to talk about the big two, Allen and Denton Geyer. And there are a lot of questions with Allen. I mean, Allen, when you really talk about the continuity over the last 20 years, it's kind of been the same way. The program has been run the same way, even though Westerberg left and Gamble came in. But they're cut out of the same cloth. He was an assistant for them, so they're very familiar. This is a completely they're just blowing it up now. And I mean, all new coaches. You're seeing coaches coming from San Antonio, all over the state. Morris, to his credit, is hiring the best. He put the web out there, and we'll talk about Webb in a second, but he put the web out there and said, come, if you're a good coach, you're a young coach, you're energetic, come to Allen. And he's really attracted a lot of assistant coaches that you may not have heard of from outside the area. So I'm very excited to see how that gels. With Allen, I mean, they had a lot of really big players. You're used to Allen, you're used to the Greens and the Kyler Murrays and the big names at quarterback and running back. But what they've got coming back this year is a lot of that infrastructure talent that I call it. A player like Nick Blessings and Jackson Newville and Blake Vaughn, just really big kids. And Allen has always been really good at that. And they've been the unsung heroes for Allen. So I'm very excited to see how those parts kind of plug in with Allen because they've got that infrastructure there. Now they have the new coach, and now we're probably going to see a lot of activity in Allen. I'm very excited to see how that's going. Have you had any inside sources about what Allen's got going on? I know you got your ear to the wall sometimes.
I do have it sometimes. And I mean, I was going to say the same thing you do. I know I got that huge offensive lineman whose name I'll never be able to pronounce. Neto is his first name, but I'm looking for skill position players just like you. But interesting thing about this district is the last several weeks we've been talking about tiers. In the last 3 or 4 districts we've said Ennis and everybody else, Trinity and everybody else, South Lake and everybody else. Well, here we are at 5-6A, and man, you had a team last year like Prosper that had to fight their butt off to get into the playoffs, and then they go 4 rounds deep.
Right.
Whatever happens in this district, it seems like you're better for it if you get into the playoffs. You've gone through a gauntlet.
Yeah, and we'll talk about when we talk about 6-6A next week is that pretty much every team that makes the playoffs will probably be a favorite to win their first round playoff game. And they have a really good chance to make a playoff run. And, the bottom tiers, McKinney, Little Elm, and Denton Braswell, they're not going to be overlooked. I mean, these are teams that could easily beat a McKinney Boyd or a Prosper. And we saw that last year with some crazy things. Little Elm has that really good receiver and Walter Roddy White. McKinney's got a really good young defensive end and Tanner Call. I think there's some really good players, and I'm excited about Denton Geyer because they seem to have really good players coming back. They got Byron Phillips and Jace Wilson and Marquand Pope coming back. But then we got Jackson Arnold. You might have remembered his name. He had to play as a freshman in the state championship game a couple of years ago, and we talked about it in our pre-show. Everybody's excited about Jackson Arnold.
Yes, he said Coach Webb said he's one of the best quarterbacks he's ever coached, and I'm waiting to see it because he can get a chance to shine yet, but it's his turn this year. So this is going to be a heck of a district. I can't wait to see what happens. We will talk about 6-6A next week, and that's who 5-6A will be playing in the first round of playoffs. So it'll be some interesting stuff.
Absolutely. But just to kind of recap, Tier 1, Allen, Denton, Geyer; Tier 2, McKinney, Boyd, and Prosper; and Tier 3, McKinney, Little Elm, and Denton, Braswell.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, Diggsy, and we will talk later.
Talk to you next week.